She claimed my chimney smoke was giving her migraines. I offered to limit our fires. She filed a formal complaint anyway. When I tried to talk, she said, "You people never learn." So I sent a letter to the HOA with her own past complaints and attached a recording she forgot I had. I live in a quiet neighborhood in upstate New York. Not rich or fancy, but clean. Quiet. People nod at each other in the driveway, wave during trash day. That kind of place. We've lived here 12 years. It's me, my wife, and our 2 kids. We have a wood-burning fireplace that we use maybe 3 times a week during the cold months. We keep it clean. We use good wood. Never burn trash or wet logs. Never had an issue. Then last October, a woman moved in next door. Her name was Ms. Denise Halpern. She was probably in her late 50s. Very neat. Always wore a scarf, even when it was warm. The first time I saw her, she was walking around her yard taking photos of her house from different angles. I said hello. She didn't say anything back. I figured maybe she didn't hear me. About 3 weeks after she moved in, she came to my door one morning. She stood very stiff, didn't even try to smile. Said, "Hi, I just wanted to mention your chimney smoke has been giving me migraines. I have very sensitive sinuses." I was surprised. I told her, "I'm sorry to hear that. We try to keep our fires to a minimum." I told her we used only dry, seasoned wood and that I cleaned the chimney every year. Still, I said I'd try to cut back. Maybe only burn on weekends. She nodded slowly. Didn't thank me. Just said, "That would be appreciated." I thought that was the end of it. A week later, I got a letter from the HOA. Formal complaint. Apparently, she told them our chimney smoke was toxic and causing health issues. I was stunned. I had tried to meet her halfway. I wasn't burning fires every day. Maybe once or twice that week, tops. I called the HOA, explained everything. They said they had to review the situation and investigate further. That meant someone from the board would be driving by randomly to observe the chimney use. I figured maybe there was a misunderstanding. So I walked over to talk to her in person. She opened her door just a crack. I said, "Hey, I got the letter. I thought we had an understanding." She looked me up and down, then said flatly, "You people never learn." That stopped me. I said, "Excuse me?" She repeated it. "You people just don't take others seriously until it's too late." I stood there for a second, then just said, "Okay, got it." I turned around and went home. Now here's the part one hadn't thought about until later. I often record conversations on my phone, nothing sneaky, just a habit from work. When I'd first spoken to her on my porch, I'd had my phone in my coat pocket and I had hit record without really thinking about it. It was something I did sometimes when I needed to remember details. I went back and listened. In the recording, she said something that stuck out. "I've had to move several times because of neighbors like you. People who don't understand how sensitive I am to my environment. The last HOA tried to fine me for complaining too much." That line right there, that was all I needed. I wrote a full letter to the HOA, explained that I had already tried to compromise, that she had a documented history of filing complaints, that she even admitted she'd moved before because of it. I attached the audio recording. I made sure to keep my tone respectful. I wasn't trying to be petty. I just wanted the truth out there. A few days later, the HOA contacted me. They said the case was being reviewed. Then a week after that, I got a formal notice. No action would be taken against me. They thanked me for the information and said they'd review Ms. Halpern's future complaints with proper scrutiny. That wasn't the end of it. She started watching me. From her window. From her porch. Just standing there while I took out the trash or played catch with my kid. Never said a word. Just stared. And then something else happened. Something she probably didn't think I'd notice. It started with the trash. I noticed one morning that our garbage bins had been moved. Not a big deal at first. I figured maybe the wind pushed them or my kid didn't put them back right. But then it happened again. And again. Always just a little off. Once they were turned completely around, lids popped open. Another time they were all the way down the driveway. I set up a camera. Just a small motion detecting one pointed at the side of the house. 3 nights later, I saw her. Ms. Halpern. Around 11:45 p.m. She walked up, looked around, then tilted one of the bins over and walked away. I saved the footage. Didn't do anything with it right away. Then the next week, we found a note in our mailbox. No envelope. Just a folded sheet of paper that said, "Air pollution is a crime. The EPA has been notified." No name.
No signature.
I showed my wife. She just shook her head and said, "She's messing with us." My kids started asking why the lady next door kept staring at them. My son said she told him not to bounce his basketball near her house. I kept my cool. Didn't say a word to her. But I started digging. I looked up her name online. Didn't find much until I started checking HOA forums. One thread from a neighborhood in New Jersey mentioned a Denise H., who filed complaints against over 10 homes for everything from lawn chemicals to wind chimes. Another thread from a suburb outside Hartford said she sued a neighbor for planting lilac bushes because she claimed the smell gave her vertigo. It wasn't just us. So I started building a file. Every weird incident. Every photo from my camera.
The trash.
The note. Even screenshots from those forum threads. Then I sent another letter to the HOA. This time, I made it clear. This behavior is targeted. It's escalating. And it's making my family feel unsafe. I got a call 2 days later. A board member named Erica asked to meet in person. We talked at a local coffee shop. She told me quietly, "You're not the only one. We've had 2 other complaints about her already. Similar stuff, but nothing solid enough until now." I handed her a flash drive. I told her I wasn't trying to get anyone kicked out. I just wanted it to stop. That was Friday. By Monday, Ms. Halpern had put up a no trespassing sign on her lawn. She added 2 new cameras pointing toward her house. And then, she started burning something in a metal fire pit behind her garage. Every night, it reeked. Plastic, maybe rubber. Not wood. Thick, dark smoke. And suddenly, we got a warning letter from the HOA. "Your home has been reported for potential air quality violations." I knew exactly what she was doing. I called Erica again. Told her about the smoke. Told her I'd walk a flash drive over that night with fresh footage. She said, "Please do." What I didn't expect was what I'd catch on the new video. Because that night, after the fire went out, she walked over to the side of our fence with something in her hand. It was a bag. And when I checked the camera the next morning, I saw her dropping it into the bushes. Then looking straight at the lens. Like she wanted me to see it. What was in the bag made everything worse. A lot worse. I waited until the next morning to check the bushes. Didn't want to go out at night. Not with her staring at us through her blinds like she'd been doing every evening. The bag was small. Grocery store kind. Tied shut. I used gloves. Brought it into the garage and opened it on a tarp. Inside was a mix of used tissues, a cigarette butt, a half-eaten apple, and this part made my stomach turn. A small dead bird. It wasn't just garbage. It was a message. I don't know if she killed the bird or found it dead somewhere. But the way it was tucked between the trash, almost placed in the middle, it wasn't random. I took photos. Then called the HOA again. Erica didn't pick up this time. So I emailed her everything, the video, the photos, the timeline. No response. So I did something I hadn't done yet. I called a lawyer. Told him everything. He didn't sound shocked. Said he'd seen harassment cases escalate like this. Told me to file a police report. Not to get her arrested, just to create a record. Told me to start a log and document everything. Every note, every video, every incident. So I did. I went to the station, filed the report. The officer was polite, but didn't promise much. Without direct threats or damage, he said, "We can't do a whole lot. But if it keeps up, let us know." It kept up. Next week, we got a letter from the local environmental board. Someone had reported us for unauthorized wood-burning practices. Same language as the HOA complaint. They said someone claimed we were burning treated lumber. We weren't. Never had. But now we were flagged for inspection. My wife was livid. Why are we being treated like criminals? We've lived here 12 years. We've done nothing wrong. Then it got worse. Our younger kid came home from school upset. Said some girl in his class told him her mom said we were bad people poisoning the air. That our house was under investigation. My son's 10. I sat in my car that night, gripping the steering wheel, trying not to lose it. That's when I decided I wasn't going to just play defense anymore. I went back to those online forums and started messaging people from the threads about Denise H. Some never responded, but one woman from the New Jersey thread did. She sent me a long message. Said, she destroyed our street. Turned neighbor against neighbor. Had everyone scared to do normal things like use their dryer or mow the lawn. Then she said something that gave me chills. We found out she used to record people through her blinds. Zoom lenses. Claimed she was collecting evidence, but it felt more like stalking. HOA finally threatened legal action if she didn't move. I asked if she had proof. She sent a PDF, an old letter from their HOA, with redacted names. It matched the tone, structure, and complaint style almost exactly to the ones I had received here. She also had a photo. Grainy, taken from across the street. But it was her. Same scarf. Same pinched face. So I compiled everything. The video of the trash, the smoke, the bag, the bird. Screenshots from the forums. The PDF. I even included the school incident. Then I did something I hadn't done before. I sent it all, not just to the HOA, but to every single board member individually. Their emails were listed in the directory. I attached the files and ended the message with, if something happens to my family, or if this harassment continues, you will have had every opportunity to stop it. That was Tuesday. By Friday, I got a letter. Not from the HOA. From her.
Typed.
Folded. No envelope. Taped to our front door. And the first line read, "You have made a serious mistake." The letter was short. 4 sentences. But it chilled me more than anything she'd done so far. You have made a serious mistake. You don't understand who you're dealing with. You've been warned. This isn't over. No name. No signature. Just that. My wife read it and sat down hard on the couch. She's threatening us now, she said. This is a threat. I scanned it, saved a copy, and called the police again. This time, I brought the letter in with me. I also brought the printouts and flash drive with all the footage and documentation. The officer, different guy this time, took it more seriously. Said the letter could be considered intimidation. Still no arrest, but now there was an official record tied to her name. They said they'd speak with her. I wasn't sure what that would do. The next evening, I saw the patrol car outside her house for about 20 minutes. No one knocked on our door. No follow-up. But something changed after that. She stopped showing up outside. No more staring from the window. No more garbage in the bushes. Nothing burned in her fire pit. Just silence. Too much silence. Then about a week later, I noticed a new sign in her yard. It was small, low to the ground. I had to squint to read it. It said, "Protected property. Audio surveillance in use." I laughed, bitterly. Is this supposed to scare us? I said out loud. My wife didn't answer. That night, as we were locking up, my motion sensor on the back porch went off. I looked through the blinds. Nothing. Then the doorbell rang. Not a knock. The bell. I opened it and looked out. Nobody. But at the foot of the door was a small package. No label. Just brown wrapping and scotch tape. I didn't touch it. Called the cops again. They came fast this time. The package turned out to be harmless. Just a stack of newspaper clippings. All articles about air pollution, chemical sensitivity, asthma in children, wood smoke dangers. Some were decades old. One was even in German. I showed the officer my front camera footage. It didn't catch her dropping it off. But the motion sensor hit at
41 am.
Which lined up with her side of the house light turning on for a few seconds, then off again. Still nothing they could use.
No fingerprints.
No video of her actually placing it. I was losing sleep now. Every bump in the night made me reach for my phone. My wife started keeping the bedroom light on. My kids asked why we weren't using the fireplace anymore. I told them it was just too warm lately. They didn't question it. Then I got a call from Erica at the HOA. Her voice was tense. "We had an emergency meeting," she said. "3 other neighbors have now filed reports. One said their dog was poisoned. Another caught her taking photos through their kitchen window."
She paused.
"We're moving to formally censure her. And we're going to vote on removal." I asked, "What does that mean?" She said, "It's rare, but it's in the bylaws. If enough people agree she's causing a pattern of disturbance, we can force her to sell." "Move." I said, "Do it." But I knew she wouldn't go without a fight. And I was right. 2 nights later, around 3 a.m., I woke up to a loud banging sound. Then glass breaking. I ran downstairs barefoot, heart racing. Someone had shattered our front porch light with a rock. Next to it was another note. Handwritten this time. Sharp, angry letters. "You think you're safe behind rules. You're not." I looked up. And there she was. Standing across the street. Not hiding. Not moving. Just watching. I didn't yell. I didn't chase her. I just stared back. And she didn't move. I picked up the rock and the note and went inside. Called the cops. Again. This time, I told them everything again. They came out, took the rock, took the note. I showed them the footage. She was on camera. Clear as day, standing across the street. Watching. Still, they said it wasn't enough to arrest her. "No footage of her throwing the rock," they said. "But we'll add this to the ongoing report." My wife started crying after they left. Not loud, just quietly sitting on the stairs. "We can't keep living like this," she whispered. I didn't say anything. I felt like anything I said would sound useless.
Empty.
I got in touch with the lawyer again. Told him about the rock, the note, the new threats. He said, "You're doing everything right. Don't confront her. Let the HOA and police build their case." But it didn't feel like it was enough. That weekend, I bought another camera.
Put it in the backyard this time.
Hidden under the eaves, angled toward the fence line. I had a bad feeling. Monday morning, I checked the footage. She had been in our yard. Around 2:19 a.m. She came in through the side gate. Didn't open it, she climbed it. Stepped carefully through the grass. Looked around. Then she kneeled by our back fence. I couldn't see what she was doing exactly, but she stayed there for at least 2 minutes. Then climbed back over, and was gone. I ran outside, and checked where she'd been. There, half buried in the dirt, was a small pouch. Drawstring. Like something out of a cheap tourist shop. Inside was ash. And some kind of dark powder. It smelled awful. Sharp, bitter, like burned rubber and vinegar. I took photos. Put it in a plastic bag. Dropped it off at the police station. They didn't know what it was.
Sent it to the lab.
I asked the cop, "Why would someone bury something like that in my yard?" He said, "Some people do this kind of thing to intimidate. Psychological warfare. Make you feel like they've got access to your space." That's when I realized this wasn't just neighbor drama anymore. She wasn't trying to win a fight. She was trying to break us. I sent the video and photos to the HOA, to Erica directly. Called her. She didn't answer. That night, I got an email from the board. They were calling a full HOA vote. Formal language, legal references, ballots to be distributed. But I knew it would take time. And time was the one thing we didn't have. Because the next day, my wife found our dog, Lucy, limping. She hadn't left the yard. She was always in the backyard, behind the locked gate. But she was whimpering, dragging her leg, foaming a little at the mouth. We rushed her to the emergency vet. They said she had ingested something toxic. Not lethal, but enough to make her violently sick. They had to keep her overnight. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat in the living room, watching the security feed on my phone. Over and over. Around 3:07 a.m., I saw it again. The same shape. Moving along the side fence. This time I didn't wait. I went outside with a flashlight. Quiet. Careful. I caught a flash of movement. Her scarf. She ducked, but I shouted, "I see you," and ran toward the fence. She was already gone by the time I reached it, but on the ground, right where she had crouched the night before, was another pouch. Same kind. Same bitter smell. This time, inside was something else. A photo.
Of me.
At the mailbox. Taken from across the street. And on the back, in block letters, "I know when you're not home." The HOA finally voted her out. 63% approved, just enough. They gave her 60 days to sell. She stopped leaving the house after that. No more trash, no more notes, no more things buried in our yard. But every night, I still check the cameras. I still wake up when the wind knocks the bins over. And I still think about that photo. How close she must have been when she took it, how long she stood there, watching without me even knowing. I don't light the fireplace anymore. Not because I'm scared, but because every time I do, I wonder who else is watching.